And we have a problem. This stuff will get you in trouble. 2 shorties and a long one. Put that in here for now since it's junk. Gonna leave them. Oh, that one was already out. See this honeycomb design? I'm just gonna leave them in their designated spot. Oh yeah, that's all it was. There's the bottom end. And so far, got some bearing material evident on the counterweight on the crank. On number 3, that's more belt. That is metallic. So I'm going to tear this down best I can. It's just an initial inspection. Look for anything obvious. Kind of neat, they marked their mains for you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. They didn't mark that one. That's a main 2. That's number 5. And your rods, of course. There's 3, there's 2, there's 1. I'm not seeing anything catastrophic as of yet, but what we're going to wind up finding is a galled crank and a war bearing, or a galled block and a spun bearing, and the crank will probably be no good too, but we'll find out here in a minute. Alright, we're going to take off number 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to leave 1 and 5 on just to hold the crank in place when I spin the motor over to pull the rods out, and put it on its side and pull the pistons out from the side. So what we're going to do now is, like I said, just loosen the torque on number, oh, that's too small. I was thinking if this was only a 2-bolt main. It is not. There are bolts that go in through the side. Those are number 10s. Kind of like on an LS, imagine that. Probably should have loosened those up first. Oops. Yeah, it's kind of neat. You got bolts that come in through the side of the block that go all the way through into the mains. Again, when you're dismantling a motor with those, you'd want to take those off and out first. Kind of see the holes there. 2, 3, and 4. Kind of stage where they came out of. Now let these are loose, but they're still in there. And this. Okay, here's number 2. Looks pretty good on the load side. Got plenty of life in her. Of course. And number 3, a little bit of galling. See how number 4 looks. Oh, a little worse. Getting worse. Not terrible. Well, yep, it's brindled just a little bit. The thrust bearings are on number 3. Kind of want to pull 1 and 5. The condition of, man, what is that from? Yeah, that's bearing material. That's shear. 1 and 5 don't have cross bolting. I'll just loosen them. I almost guarantee you this is where the failure is. Back of the engine. So that's what's going to lose oil pressure first. Here, let me show you. So as I was saying in the video, on the other camera, something I noticed right away when I got to the rods, I was getting ready to punch 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just kind of happened to notice this one's nice and clean. The one down there is nice and clean, nice and shiny. Nice and clean, nice and shiny. And then we get over to number 4. That's not a crack, that's a hair from the belt. Notice the discoloration. Now either this motor's been apart and someone did a shoddy rebuild and that's an aftermarket component, or this thing got really, really hot at some point. I mean, you can't even see any sign of the laser etching. I mean, I haven't wiped it off or anything, but you can see the discoloration, how hot number 4 rod got. So let's just take number 4 off and see what we got. Ow! I deserve that. And try not to damage your tone wheel. Oh. Uh-oh. I can catch my nail on that pretty good. Could land a Boeing on that. That's what's left of the bearing. That's the unloaded side. Let's see if you can. Yeah, that's not what a bearing's supposed to look like. You can see the ridge. When the bearing material started getting eaten away, it started to dig into the cap. Another thing to point out, this looks broken, right? This is what's called a split fracture on the rods. What it means is they cast this as one solid piece, and then they fracture split. They just literally just break it off. So it's a perfect match. That's kind of industry standard in almost any application. You'll either have a machine fit or fracture split. I've seen both, and in everything from dirt bikes to 15, 16, 18 liter engines. So when your bearing you lose oil pressure, your bearing starts to wear out, you gain excessive clearance. And with that clearance, something's got to take up the gap. And metal on metal. Yeah, this is also, the bearing is spun. You saw that earlier. So I'm just gonna pop this one out. I just need a piece of wood. Not really. Dang it. Keep knocking everything over. And there's number 4. Oh man. Well, no broke rings. Lots of little metal flakes everywhere. The oiling ring is intact. Oh, I should have checked for. Okay, good. You got to be careful with the piston coolers. The little oil nozzles. Squirt oil up in here to get your wrist pin lubricated. Man, can't really even tell what's going on there because. Okay, oh, I see. Oh man. The bearings actually rolled onto each other. That's weird. Let me get this apart. Oh, dang. Here. There's what's left of the yeah, this is junk. Rod's no good. Dang. Yeah, that's just embedded. Oh man. Yeah, it's broken. You can see what I'm talking about with a fracture split, if I have it the right way around. Probably don't. No, I did. See, damn near barely see the line now. Here's number 2. Oop. Yeah, and number 3, the bearings are, I'm not going to say seized to the crank, but they're stuck on the crank. It looks like they spun just a hair. I can see some score marks. I'll get them off here in a second. Where is the screwdriver? Hey. Thrust bearing stops the crank from walking forward and back. Usually anywhere on a motor this small, the tolerance is probably anywhere from 1 to 3 thousandths. If I had to guess, this is what it is, and it slips down. The center of the crank in between the counterweights on the main is machined to accept these. Well, the only one thing I am happy about, the block is okay. Aside from cleaning all the crap out of the oil passages, there's no spun bearings on the mains. That's number 5. That's the number 1 rod pin on the crank. You see number 3. Oop. That's gonna be hard. 3 is a little unhappy. And 4 is trashed. There's the damage in number 4. Bearing's pretty much fused to the rod. And we didn't see this yesterday. Little witness mark there. It's not the healthiest looking thing, but I'd run it. That though, that's no good. And if you remember from part 4, the valve cover quotation mark acts as the cap for the cam. The cam journal. That's what it is. It's a cam journal, just machined into the valve cover thing. And so that's no good either. So on the surface, we need a head, we need a crank, number 4 connecting rod, and number 3 and 2 connecting rod. See the block, mains aren't too bad, nothing was spun. Still got to pull the counter shafts and little things like that. I don't expect to find any damage up there or anything. We've already found the primary failure. Here's 1 through 5 caps. Like I said, it just started to see the effects of low oil pressure. No oil pressure. See, that's number 4. That one was getting close. But crank is shot anyway, so no harm there.